everyone, welcome to my Watercolor Friday session. Today I want to share something with you, which we went to Canary Wharf on the weekend, and I love going to Canary Wharf. It's just so inspiring. It's super contemporary. I love the buildings. I love the structure. I could just admire it for hours. All the layers of the buildings, the architecture is just stunning. And I took a picture which I want to draw today. So my focus will be on creating an illustrative style of a picturesque, layered, textured illustration of the city. So I am absolutely excited about it because I took a number of beautiful pictures. By the way, if you haven't seen, I've done a similar thing with textures of Cornwall in one of the previous sessions. So check it out if you haven't yet. This was a beautiful scene of a beach which had rocks and loads of trapped jellyfish in there. So I worked with different colors. So as always, what I do is I study the color palette and then I kind of pulled out some colors which I want to use in today's session. That bright pink in the middle, which is basically supposed to be some sort of lighting detail to the bridge that you can walk through, and I think they light it up during like winter months. But anyway, it's gorgeous and bright pink, and I think it stands out so beautifully. There is also a bit of color besides the beautiful bright blue sky. There's a bit of yellow and green right here, and I think it all bounces back and forth really beautifully. And then we've got turquoises in the mirrored windows all throughout Cornwall, Canary Wharf. So basically that's the color palette I went with. I have here a number of different art supplies in those colors. I've got different blues for skies. There is Neocolor 2, Neocolor 1, depending on what I'm going to be playing with. There's also a bit of that lime green kind of yellow color from the little pier that you can see there. So those are these colors. More turquoises right here. I gave myself more than I will use because I won't use every single color that I have here, but I just wanted to have all these options that I can look at and kind of work with. So again, beautiful chartreuse greens right here, a slightly more darker green just if I wanted to create more contrast, a ultramarine blue type of color, a gold which is not too metallic, but because it's a Neocolor 1, I love the fact that I can add some texture and go over with watercolor and that will pop through. And then I have tombos. I have 3 colors here. So essentially I haven't decided if I'm going to use this super duper bright neon pink, which doesn't look like that in reality. It's actually glowing neon pink. When I say glowing, it's not glowing in the dark, but it's just glowing because it's neon. We also have this number 725 Tombow, which is also beautifully bright, and it's got a fine tip. So I'm thinking I might either use the fine tip to create the lines, or if I have done everything else and I need something solid to go over, I might just use this color. These two, the 228 and N60, I actually really enjoyed in the previous session, as I discovered that water looks gorgeous. These were the 2 areas of main interest. And so because there is quite a bit of water in Canary Wharf, that's what I am thinking of using. So now where do I start with so much detail, so much of everything going on? So obviously we have the bright colors, we have a lot of texture, a lot of structure. So I'm thinking I will start with the main event, which is basically this beautiful bridge, and I will build everything around it. I also have watercolor right here, and this is my Daniel Smith palette that I created ages ago. It has opera pink in case I wanted another bright pink to go with that lighting system. So let's start. I'm thinking I might start with a pencil. Straight lines is not my strongest point. So what I try to do is therefore create like sketchy looks. What I really like about illustration is that you can inject your own style and you can kind of see things in your own way. So the colors that I enjoy, I can bring them out. The colors that I can embellish slightly, I can bring them back and do what I kind of fancy the most. So at this point we have got this brooch, and you can a little bit about it, but I wouldn't overthink things too much, just so that you can obviously see some sort of resemblance, but it doesn't have to be exactly. So here I can see there's this kind of like areas. I'm just going to work with that. I think personally I always find it a bit difficult to maintain detail, but give it more character rather than just it being about the detail, if that makes sense. I love when it's sort of is fun, and lines can be wonky. It all is about capturing the essence of something, but just maybe not focusing too much, not being hung up too much on one thing, but rather delivering something that you see like in your own way. I think this to me is the essence. So far so good. Loads of texture right here. And then what I would do is just add a little bit of depth and shadow. So we are adding a bit of dimension. So think about composition, think about adding fun to your illustration, but as well as the composition that needs to look pleasant on the eye. So I like what I see on the picture, therefore I'm thinking if I just add that here, then we might have a good chance. Okay, so over here, kind of this building, which is beautiful, it's kind of rounded like so, and I'm thinking there's also square windows here, so I'm just going to follow the building slightly, and then there's some more kind of windows like so. That will be my main part of the picture. And then slightly lower here we have got these beautiful straight buildings like so. And then There's also this building right here, and it's going this way. And then about there we've got this other building. So I'll basically, this has loads and loads of lines. So I decided to bring in this color, which is the 026. It would pop so beautifully with this bright pink, although it's not in the picture. And then the other thing I'd like to do is just give myself a finer point. For this Caran -1. Okay, so what I would do for this building, which is like a crisscross, is basically, roughly speaking, like that. And then it starts going to this perspective. And here we've got like diamond shaped bits, so I'll just try to imitate that. There's also some windows in there as well, so we bring that into this part. I mean, here you just should think about what you'd like to bring out, what you kind of don't want to bring out, what is too much, what is not too much. So I'm just adding a few details without going overboard. And of course, the more shapes you have got, the more difficult it will be to create this kind of clean diamond precision shape. It's just too much going on otherwise. Okay, something like that. And then we'll just add this. Okay, so here we go. That was that. And then I'm thinking, because I have a fine nib here, I'm just going to hopefully be able to add these fine lines. The whole building just has like little squares for the windows. And that's what I'm doing. And this is the zigzag that I followed here. Okay, and then up to this point we have got lines going this way. And then changing the perspective going that way. Right. And then I'm just going to do the same in terms of shadows. I'm just going to add a few sketchier marks like so. I kind of feel like next time when I'm going to Canary Wharf, I'd love to just sit down and paint there and there with my sketchbook, but it never works out because I'm always going there with my son and my husband, and of course, you know, I don't want to be like sitting there painting while they get bored. So here we go, we added a little bit of color, and then those two buildings right at the back standing out a bit. Also playing with a perspective touch. There's another right here. Okay, and there's another building behind there, but look, I'm just gonna leave it as it is. And also I can see there's loads of fine lines. I'm just going to use the fine tip of the tombos and go like that. This building right here, it also has an extreme amount of fine detail whether it's the individual windows or just the building is kind of made to look like it's sort of like made out of tiny little, like almost mosaic type of texture. None of it matters as long as we just replicate what it looks like wherever we think we want to add a bit more shadow or dimension. I'm just going to bring some watercolor in there, and I quite like things blending in to one another. Okay, so I will now focus on the sky, and the sky, what is this, Neocolor 1 and Neocolor 2 this actually is. So we've got some beautiful clouds, which I'll just scribble in. So this is also Neocolor 2, which means it will blend a bit. I just love beautiful colors together, so we're going to I'm also going to use watercolor, and see what happens here. And I'm going to use some of this. Now this is Neocolor 1, so watercolor shouldn't be going through this, so we'll see what happens. Okay, I'm going to mix up a blue color, a bit of lavender in there, and some maybe bit of Prussian blue, a bit of yellow, lemon yellow, and a bit of indanthrone blue, and a bit of lavender into this. That's a beautiful sky color, and I'm just going to add it in some areas where I see fit. So I want to maintain some areas of white, but also bringing in some contrast from the indanthrone blue, which pops quite nicely right next to this color. And then kind of pulling it through. Okay, that's a lovely bit of contrast. So that's our sky done. Now I just realized you can see a little bit of this building pop through here. So let's just add some color like that. And now this building, it's hard to say what color I'd like it to be, so maybe I'll just go with like a darker blue. Let's see, I'll just bring in this type of blue into the windows like so, and then for the rest of it I might just go in with something like buff titanium just to add a little bit of color, but not much. Okay, so that's all done. And then let's see, let's look into our turquoises and then maybe add some of these colors into the window to reflect the water, the sky. I'm going to be a bit more adventurous with my mark making. That should be enough for now, just softening it a little bit. I'll let it dry before I go in with anything else. So the next step is the little piers here, and also people that I can see walking on there. So this is not clear yet what it is, but it's actually like sort of like a bridge. So I'll just put this railing up here, and I can see people there. So that's all water. And then let's see, the piers just somewhere around here, so we can see some stairs going in like that, and then there's a bit of a structure going on, which is not it's not easy to illustrate, but I'll try my best. There's something yellow up here, that's where the yellow color will come in. So I did want something quite bright. Got something here, and then around here it's also a bit yellow. And then we've got something green, which I'm not sure, something like a cloth. Just scribble it around here. And I think that looks all right. I'm just going to add some color here, just blend it through. I think I'm just going to add this beautiful color throughout this part of the illustration, just to bring it in together, like so. Okay, and now we can focus on the water. So I'm going to add a bit of water here and there, as well as introducing some actual watercolor into this as well. So firstly, I just want to play with these two melting together. Like so. And then bringing a bit of water underneath here as well. So it's getting there, but there's some water at the back. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water, just like that. Okay, in terms of watercolor adding to the painting, I've got some Cascade blue, and I'm just going to mix it through the colors here. It's just so beautiful. If there's too much white, you can also work on that. Again, if you think that there's too much white on your page, like here, I'm just going to use barely color in the water and just extend it a little bit. So this building isn't finished yet. We need to add something to it. And that something could be a pencil. But of course we need to wait for it to dry, so I'm going to do that. So this is doing well here, but I'm kind of feeling like adding a bit of the shadow violet into this building. It's a great color to just add a bit of something without bringing too much color in. So just going to do that. And then it's a lot of fun to just like dabbing it into wet paint, because it will generate an interesting pigment separation. And then of course on top we can add some mark making. So this building here I'd like to work a little bit over, but I'm not entirely sure what I'd like to do with it. The bridge, that needs a bit of work as well. So let's see. I feel like I can add a bit of color to the bridge. So running through here, just going to add that color that pops really nicely up against the pink. And then people, they are walking around here, so we'll need to add those in. And also, why don't I add some maybe texture into these buildings, just on top of the watercolor, just bringing a bit of mark making into this. That looks to me much better, except for I need a deeper color. And at this point I'm just quickly pulling something out. No, I think this color would be better. That's it. And then here, maybe just pull out straighter lines like so, just to really make it look like diamonds. Kind of emphasizing it a little bit more, but maybe some turquoise into this, or like a blue, something that would pop. That's it, that works well. And then up here, just adding a little detail. Like so. I think I'll leave it at that without trying to overdo anything. I would like to add some more green throughout, so maybe here when the people are. So I'm thinking someone is actually wearing something orange, so I'm going to go in with that and just try to scribble these people just walking. Don't know why they're dark green, don't ask me about that, but they're just walking along the pairs, I suppose. Maybe one can wear something red as well. This is a good time to bring in colour. So that's it, just enough people here. Maybe we'll bring one just here, trying to suggest someone is crossing the bridge. Yeah, something like that. And again in an orange top maybe. And that's it. So this is quite nice. Thinking maybe just adding a little bit more color under here to break down that kind of pairs with the building, otherwise it's all a bit the same. And I think that is a-okay. Otherwise, I'll just start overdoing things. So that was a quick way of bringing together colors and things from that little scene. So I'll try also bringing out that beautiful neon pink and see whether if I bring it somewhere else in the picture, how that's gonna work. Straight from the tip of it. Actually, it looks pretty. It's a lovely contrast. And maybe somewhere here as well. Why not? So that our eyes kind of connect throughout the painting. So we've got the three going on here and there. I'm not even thinking, shall I use a... Yeah, I'll let it blend through a bit. But not everywhere. So there you go. That is my interpretation of that beautiful picture I took. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had fun. And maybe if you have any pictures on your phone, or if you go somewhere and you don't have your sketchbook or your art supplies with you, maybe you can take a picture and then come back home and try to interpret it in your own way, adding textures and colors that you enjoy working with, and still maintaining some of the realistic aspect of the actual picture, but do it in your own way. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.